Welcome back to Cooking with Love, and today we will be making salmon steaks, loaded garlic mash with fresh string beans and bacon. And here you see some ingredients that we'll be using today, which is my spice blend and some black pepper. I have some Himalaya salt, some Old Bay seasoning, a little crushed pepper, some light brown sugar. I'll be using butter, some sour cream, some milk, some russet potatoes, some bacon, red pepper, an onion, some scallion, some garlic cloves, and a lemon. So here I have a couple steaks, which I have 3 salmon steaks, and I'll be rinsing these off thoroughly to make sure they're nice and clean before I begin to season them. So this fish that I have is considered wild caught, which means it was directly from the sea, not farm raised, but very similar in taste. And trust me, if I or anyone didn't tell you, you wouldn't even know. That's how similar they are. And it's a beautiful fish. Don't be discouraged. They're both beautiful in taste. So I'm gonna continue washing off this fish, and then I'm going to lemon marinate it. Just kind of let some lemon sit in it to wake it up a little bit, which gives a great flavor as well. And that's optional; you don't have to. So whatever you feel, if you don't like lemon or lime, you don't necessarily have to. And that could be a part of your cleaning as well of your fish. But this didn't really need it, and I really want the true flavors of this fish to come out, so I will be only lightly seasoning it, and I'll be adding some spice blend. I only have minimum salt, and it has a combination of dill, paprika, it has parsley, it has fresh basil, and other ingredients, and which I'll put in my description box. So before we begin to season this fish, we want to squeeze some lemon on top of it, and we're gonna let that sit, okay? And then give it maybe 5-10 minutes maybe, and then we're gonna season it. We're not gonna rinse this part of it. We're just gonna layer the fish with the seasoning of your preference or what you decide that you want to use. You don't have to use what I'm using because you may not have what I have. But whatever you choose to use, make sure it's lightly seasoned, low sodium, so that you can control the flavor of this dish before we begin to start to sear. So as we begin to start seasoning, which is my spice blend, I'm gonna just give it a couple shakes and evenly coat that. This is a beautiful seasoning. If you have whatever season you decide to use, it's gonna be fine. Just lightly season it. I'm gonna add some Old Bay seasoning that gives it a little sea flavor. Okay, has a smoky taste to it. We're gonna also add in some black pepper. Okay, and that's just gonna give it a little bite. A couple shakes of that. I'm gonna try to rub that in. And remember, we add that lemon, which is gonna help. So you wanna repeat your seasoning process for the opposite side before you begin to sear. So while we're waiting for our fish to finish marinating, we're gonna prepare our edible garnish, which will be some red pepper and yellow pepper and a little scallion. And we're gonna saute that in the butter, which will make these vegetables translucent and edible for garnish. The red and yellow pepper has a particular like sweet taste. That's why I choose to use it opposed to the green pepper. They all have their own identity, and I choose to use these because they have a sweet based taste. And I'm gonna let these stir fry for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then I will remove them. As you see, I'm removing the scallions because I don't want them to burn when they're cooking a little more faster than the peppers, which is fine. Once done, you're gonna remove, and it'll be on the side until you're ready to set your plating. So as I remove the remaining peppers, I'm going to leave the scallions due to that I don't want to use them for my top garnish. So I'm going to leave those, and I'm going to be adding in some butter. 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter will be added. And if you need more, you can add more as you're making your sauce. So we're going to kind of like melt this down on a medium heat, and then we're going to start adding our next ingredients, which will be some fresh garlic, which we're going to only allow to cook just for a few minutes, and we're going to keep stirring that because we don't want that to burn. Okay, because if that burns, it will definitely change the taste of everything. So I'm going to add in just a little bit more butter as well, because it's not enough sauce that I'm trying to make for these 3. It's going to soak up, and I really need a little bit more butter. And it's optional for you. I'm not sure how much you feel that you need to make your base, your sauce. Okay, so just know that I have 3 tablespoons of butter and 2 cloves of garlic and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Guys, make this dish your own. You set the mark, you decide. That's why you must taste your food, and to make sure that this is the taste that you like. You don't wait to the end and be like it's not something that you want. You just add to control the seasoning in your food. So guys, I wanted to put some ginger in here, but I forgot to pick it up. So you're welcome to add that. It will be great, complement this dish. So we're going to continue to stir this, and this is about ready. So guys, I just want to thank you for subscribing and liking and following my video. And for those who just now seeing my page, thank you. Feel free to subscribe, like, and share, and comment, and share some of your thoughts on this dish. And we want to keep it with good vibes. So we're going to squeeze fresh lemon. Squeeze your half a lemon. Try to take the seeds out. I thought I had all the seeds out of mine, but I didn't, I guess. That's okay. I'll just take it out with this fork and move on. And let me tell you, the smell that it's giving off is, oh my God, so wonderful. So as we give it a last stir, we're going to begin to add our salmon steaks. And we're going to put them in this pan. And we're going to allow them to cook 3 to 5 minutes on both sides. And we're going to watch them, because we want to make sure what we're trying to do is sear each side. Okay? on medium heat. And we don't want to over caramelize them. So you want to make sure that you get a nice texture on both sides, which is a nice golden texture. And once you get both sides to what you want it to look like, you are going to make sure you turn that heat down very low, and you're going to cook it for an additional 3 to 5 minutes on very low with a top on it. Soon after, turn the stove off and you're completed with that dish. So here I have a pot of boiling salted water prepared for the potatoes that I'm washing now, and I'm going to leave the skin on. So I'm going to wash these potatoes thoroughly a couple times, go through the water, and then I'm going to start to boil them, okay? And this is the prep for fresh mashed potatoes. And the reason for that is to get all the nutrients that you want out of your potato. By cutting the skin, you cut away a lot of the nutrients. So I'm not going to remove the skin. And this is optional. If this is a process that you want to skip, you can cut the skin off, but this has a different taste opposed to cutting the skin off, okay? So I'm going to wash these thoroughly, and I'm going to let them boil for about 30 minutes, okay? So here I'm gonna begin to rinse them, and I'm gonna rinse them in cold water to stop off the cooking process, and they're very hot at this moment. So you wanna cool them off with some cold water, and let them sit until you're ready to take off the skin. Okay. So while we are waiting for the potatoes to cool down, we're going to start to rinse off our fresh string beans and go through them to make sure there aren't any bad ones, which this is the beans, fresh beans in the bag. So they're pretty clean at this point, but we're going to make sure that they are clean for our eye and our conscience as well, okay? So we're going to rinse them a couple times before we start to part boil them, okay? And this is a method that's been used for speeding up the cooking process, especially when you want to stir fry. You want to make sure the vegetables cook, evenly. This helps it. You kind of, salt your water, and it's called blanching as well. Yes, this is a process that can be used, and you find that when you're multitasking in the kitchen, this is one, you want your meal to be quick. You want to, try this. So as I complete rinsing these string beans, I have some water in a pot that I have salted lightly for the pot boil process before stir frying. We're going to add these string beans, all these string beans, to this pot, and we're going to let these come to a tender, undercooked but tender enough to stir fry, okay? And you're gonna, you can test it by, you can take one out by tasting it. Thereafter, you should be able to take out and rinse in cold water to start the cooking process, to begin stir frying, because you want to keep the color of your string beans as well. So shock them in cold water will stop the cooking process. So as we wait for these string beans to blanch, we're gonna prepare our wok here with some avocado oil, and I'm gonna baste this pan, which I will be adding in some fresh bacon to stir fry along with some fresh onions. I have an onion, and I'm gonna just bring these, just allow this bacon to render this fat so that I can get the flavors that I need for the stir fry. I'm gonna add some red pepper, and I'm just gonna keep tossing that until that is cooked, and bacon will come to a semi-crunch, not so much a crunch, but it will be done. We're gonna add our string beans now, which once we fill the pan, we're gonna just layer this pan with the ingredients that's needed, and then we're gonna start to toss. We're gonna lightly season with a little salt. I have some Himalaya salt. If you don't have Himalaya salt, that's fine. Just regular salt, lightly seasoned. Okay, a little black pepper. I'm gonna give a couple shakes on that, and some heat, which is a couple of shakes of crushed red pepper. Okay, and I have a little spice blend, which I'll be lightly seasoning as well. And remember, this is our fresh string beans, so they can take up to some sodium, but not as much because we have the fat from the pork, bacon. And we're gonna add some sugar. Okay, and I put like 2 tablespoons of sugar. Okay, and I'm gonna just let that simmer down. I'm gonna put a top on that and let that come to a simmer, and continue tossing throughout so that I make sure everything is evenly coated in seasoning. So I've done the taste test, and pretty much it's in seasoning. I am perfect. So I'm just gonna put a top on this, turn it down very low, and go into my next dish, which is my fresh mashed potatoes, garlic mashed potatoes. Okay, so I'm gonna take up to the fork, and I'm just gonna take off the skin now, which comes off easily because we boiled it whole, which doesn't take off too much other than just the skin itself, because we want to taste all the nutrients that the potato gives. So I'm peeling a 5-pound bag of potatoes. And to speed up this process, I'm giving you just a partial glimpse of the process of peeling these potatoes. So you're taking the skin off along with cutting them up, but it doesn't take long, but because the potatoes are so hot, okay, it's gonna take a minute. So here I have a pot of some butter. I put like 2 tablespoons of butter, and you can put as much as you need because this is gonna saturate into your potatoes. You're gonna add some fresh chopped garlic, finely chopped garlic, and then we're gonna just stir that and kind of just get that to break down, to flavors to come out. I'm just gonna get it tenderized before I start adding the potatoes in. Okay, so these potatoes, now I'm gonna just dice them up really fast so that we can add them into that mix. And once that's over, once we're done with that, it doesn't take long. So you have to go through the potatoes to make sure there's any black spots or anything. And get as much as you can, and break it down as much as you can as well. So these potatoes are gonna have pretty much about 85 to 90% no lumps, okay? Because I don't want my potatoes, I'm gonna have them smooth, but I want to have some body to it. So I'm gonna leave some. I'm gonna get as much as I can out. But I'm gonna whip it to that is nice and smooth. But you know that they're hearty, okay? So as I continue I'm gonna be adding, guys, some fresh, some whole milk, some sour cream, okay? And I'm gonna lightly season that with some salt, okay? And pretty much that will be it. And then I'm gonna just continue to just keep whipping that until it's to the consistency I need. As you see here, I had quite a bit of lumps, and I'm not using a masher, so I'm gonna just be using my spoon, and I'm gonna whip it to a hearty but smooth texture. Okay, so here we have our garlic, and I'm going to now start adding into my potatoes. Okay, so we're just gonna keep whipping, mixing that in evenly, and then we're going to start to add in our whole milk. Okay, and I'm gonna add just about almost all of this, other than about 25% of it. Okay, and it's up to you how much you want to use. You can just keep adding if you want. I'm just going to use that much because I'm not using any water, and that will be my liquid base of breaking it down. Okay, so I'm just going to start mashing that with my spoon. As you see, I have the spoon that has the holes in it, and I'm going to mash it to where I want some lumps to stay in. I'm going to add in some sour cream, and the sour cream gives it a great flavor as well. And you know, that's optional, you don't have to, but that it goes good. So I'm going to lightly season this with some salt. Okay, and lightly season because you can continue to add if needed later. Because as things get, you know, mature, you can tell if it need more later on. It will show up. It will tell you just have enough. Okay, so now I'm gonna just put top on that and continue to let that come to a boil and continue mashing it, bringing it to the consistency of what's needed. So as you see here, a lot of my liquid has disintegrated, and I continue to just keep whipping so that it can smooth. And I do still have lumps, but I don't have a lot. So I'm just gonna continue just turning it and mashing as much as I can. So guys, these potatoes are now done, and we are ready to serve this delicious meal. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, share, like, and make a comment to this channel. I appreciate you guys. See you next time.